Hello everybody, my name is Hunter Hero, and welcome to probably what's going to be the spiciest deck list you're going to see from my channel, at least in a little bit. This is something that was thrown together, and it's a little untested. Well, it's tested, but it's a little, it's unrefined. But I thought I'd give it a post, kind of get what everybody thinks about it, and just kind of get it out there. So this is Purrely Dark World, and this deck has a lot more synergy going for it than one would think. I'm happy to share it with you guys. So enough babbling. Let's get on into the list, and we'll talk about how the synergy works when we get to it. So starting us off, we have 3 copies of Purrely. This is how your deck mainly functions. You're going to be summoning him constantly, and this card's crazy. So on summon, it activates the top 3 cards of your deck. You grab a Purrely spell or trap from among them, and then put the rest on the bottom in any order. And then this card reveals a quick play spell from your hand, and then you summon an associated Purrely rank 2 from the extra deck that is mentioned on that card, or that mentions that card. And then it counts as an exceed summon, which is super nice, and that's just how the deck works. You need him, and the ways to recycle him are pretty easy, all things considered. Moving straight out of that, we are going to move into our Dark World stuff with 3 copies of Genta, Game of Dark World. This card pitches to grab Gates of Dark World from your deck, and then when it's banished and you control a Dark World card the first time, it summons itself to your field. That is a once per turn, but he is one of the more essential pieces of this. The ruling problem herself, we are on 3 copies of Snow on Light of Dark World. This card, when it's sent to the graveyard by being discarded by a card effect, searches as one of your Dark World cards. That's the only effect that you care about on this card. It's just a good old consistency, and is mandatory. Keep that in mind, that she is mandatory. And along with the mandatory cards is 3 copies of Brow, Huntsman of Dark World. Just drawing an additional card is basically the only reason he's even in here. Again, once we get into the spell cards, we'll talk about how the synergy with these Dark World cards works, but we're just going over the numbers for now. And then for our high levels, we are on 1 copy of Lucian, because he's just a free body on the a free summon on the biggest body we can grab. Then we're on 1 copy of Grapha, because a pop is really, really strong, actually, all things considered, and he's searchable. And 1 copy of Rainbow. The new one, obviously, but you use him to search the Grapha or the Lucian, whichever one you don't already have or which one you need, and then both of them summon the same way by bouncing a guy. So then on to the 1 hand trap we're on, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We actually only needed a monster hand trap because of 1 for 1. This could be any of them. I just chose Ash because branded Despia is looking like it's going to be good again, and so being able to Ash branded Fusion feels very nice. Now moving on to the spell cards, we're on our continuous spell, 3 copies of My Friend Purrely. This card works like, basically it's like pantheism for this deck, so you pay 500, and then you look for 3 Purrely cards in your deck except for itself. Opponent chooses 1 at random, you add the 1 to the hand, and then shuffle the other 2 back in the deck. Works exactly like pantheism, so you can reel 3 of the same one and grab it. But this one also has a graveyard effect, not a graveyard effect, but has an effect on field, where if your opponent outs and exceeds, you can grab back 3 differently named Purrely quick play spells out of your graveyard, so you recoup some of your loss. Speaking of the quick play spell cards and how this deck synergy works, we are on 3 copies of Purrely Pretty Memory, 3 Delicious, and 3 Happy Memory. So the reason that we're bunching these cards together is because these cards all have a lot of overlap in how they work. There's a little bit of nuance to each one, but overall their general theme is the same. This is how you're closing games, is using these cards. This is how you're setting up boards. They do everything. So all of them share one effect, which is why these synergize with Dark Worlds, is they each have a first bullet point effect after they've done their first effect. That's say discard a card by a comma, special summon a level 1 Purrely from your deck. So that discards for effect. So the Dark Worlds help kind of recoup some of that loss, because otherwise you're bleeding advantage. So talking about them individually, Pretty Memory, each player gains 1,000 life points, and then you can do that effect. And then an Exceeds monster with this card as material can sack a card on your field and then attach an opponent's card as Exceeds material. Delicious Memory, you target a monster on the field. It can't be destroyed by battle until the end of the next turn. And then while it's equipped to a monster, while it's attached to Exceeds material, the monster gains 300 attack and defense. And then Happy Memory, target any card on the field. The first time it'd be destroyed by card effect. It's not until the end of the next turn. And then for every Happy Memory, it gets an attack on a monster +1. So with just one of these, you can close a game pretty consistently with with 2 attacks. All 3 you get 4. The Delicious Memories do in fact stack, which is super duper interesting, and something that reading the card is pretty obvious, but they do stack, so each copy of Delicious gives an additional 300 per Exceeds material. And the card's really, really good, so that's how they synergize with Dark Worlds. Moving on to the Dark World spell traps, we are on 3 copies of Gates. I mean, just having a free draw and cycle plus a free body is always great, plus it's super searchable. Because tier elements have fallen mostly out of the meta, we are on 3 copies of Dark World Dealings, just because you're not likely to run into an issue with discarding your opponent's cards with these cards. And these can basically just thin your deck more, which is most of why we're playing these cards anyway. And then on to other spell cards, we are on 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. You summon from the deck. I've caught more Ash Blossoms playing this deck than I had thought I would. This could be any other hand trap if you feel like. I just prefer Triple Tactics because you kind of want to go first to set up for your OTK in the next turn. And then for the 1 of spell, we are on 1 copy of 1 for 1. You kind of have to play it. Summoning Purrely from the deck is essential, and having more ways to do that outside of discarding cards is fantastic. Outside of your quick plays is great. And then we're on 1 copy of Purrely Leap. This card is strange because you can make one of your rank 7s or a rank 2 on top of the rank 7s or vice versa using this card. And then it can shuffle back your Purrely monsters by banishing itself from the graveyard. So you gotta at least play 1. This card is breaking at anything more than that. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. We're playing 41 cards. You can cut like the 1 for 1 or something to make that more consistent. I just found it very nice. So let's go into the extra deck and talk about like flex spots and stuff. For the Purrely cards, we are on 1 Purrely Happiness, 2 Purrely Plump, 3 Beauty, 2 Noir, and 1 X Purrely Happiness. So what do these cards do? So the rank 2s you will be summoning using Purrely's effect and the quick play spells, and then the 2 rank 7s can be summoned using the rank 2s if they have 5 or more materials on them, which is all things considered very, very simple. Little Happiness has 2k attack and 100 defense. At the end of the damage step, if it battled, you get to search for a Purrely card, add it to your hand. It's fine. And then the rank 2s all share an effect where if you activate a quick play spell card, they can quick effect attaches material, and then they get an additional effect. Happiness is the worst one, being that he bounces a spell trap. Plump Farfa's a guy, so banishes 1 until the end of the turn, and then Beauty changes 1's battle position. Plump has a quick... now, these 2 get quick effects if they have their associated spell card equipped. So, while Plump has it as Exceeds material, Plump can quick effect attach up to 2 spell traps from either player's graveyard to him as Exceeds material, alongside his banish, which is really good. Plus, he has 2100 defense and 200 attack, meaning that he's your best way to set up going first. Beauty is a negate, so you target a card, negate its effects, and then the battle position change on top of a 1600 body and 1100 defense. Noir, if it has the level 1, has a quick effect to put a card on the field or in the graveyard on the bottom of the deck by detaching 2 materials. And then is unaffected by activated monster effects, I believe, or activated effects in general. Activated effects while it has 5 or more materials. And then X Purrely Happiness is how you're closing games. So it has it can blank all your opponent's monsters by detaching a material, and your opponent can't respond. It has the level 1 on it, and then if it has 5 or more materials, when you declare an attack, it deals 1500 damage to your opponent. So this is how you close games: is that this guy closes your games, this guy's if you're not enough. Yeah, no. If you're considering playing different flex choices, the 1 Beauty and the extra copy of Noir are good cuts, because if things are going well, you aren't making these. But that's it for the Purrleys. Moving on to your Zeus stuff, Downard and Zeus. This doesn't come up very often, but it is how Plump becomes the biggest Zeus ever made, and Zeus is Zeus. We're playing a Seeds deck. Everything past this point is super duper flex spots, so take everything with a grain of salt. Just know that this is like where we're getting to mostly untested stuff. Is Hope Harbinger. There is a hypothetical world where you can recycle Lucient enough to summon both Grapha and Rainbow, and that's where you make this guy, is use a spell negate. This doesn't come up very often, but it's just a way to fill in the extra. For our Link Busters, we have Dark the Dark Charmer, Unicorn, Appaloosa, and Access Code. Again, most of this has been untested. This card does come up occasionally if you really have gassed up enough. This thing, you can make a format Appo plus a Plump, which is really, really optimal. Access Code is a way to close games. This is spot removal, and this is graveyard kidnapping. But it's mostly all unfounded, and very reliant on how many Dark Worlds you open and can summon and stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this deck profile. I really, really am excited that this deck finally is released in the TCG. This brew came out of... I tried MBT's list for this deck and found it to be... found myself wanting. So I threw this together just based off of accidental synergy. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just share your comments, on brews and stuff down below. I just thought I'd share what I had stumbled across with the world and the greater community at large. But I honestly, this is another one of those decks that I really, really do want to see your thoughts, your thought processes on. As for like combos and stuff for like other deck profiles or like this deck profile, I will be getting to those shortly. I'm gonna like try to rack up a couple of comments and stuff. Generally just first, before I start doing that, just so I can get them all done in kind of one go, because I do want these videos to kind of be long enough to warrant being on the channel, so like anything less than about 5 minutes isn't really worth my time, in my opinion, because some of these decks are super duper linear, and so if I have a bunch of those, it'd be a lot easier to get them all done in one go. So, but yeah, let me know what you think. What decks, if any, you want me to see me try to cover in the future, if I have them. And deck tags and stuff for this list, stuff that you're trying, thoughts on this list. I'll leave all that stuff down below. Interact how you please. I'm not your dad. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful night.